Let's deviate a bit from my usual thing. What are you up to in life? Although it's important, what are you up to in life? It's a new week, but it's also a new month starting this week, October 2024. Cheers to a good month ahead, a good week ahead. But today I want to address three important things that are going on, and one of my passion is global affairs as a journalist, right? Geopolitics is a huge, but also as somebody who attended Bible college and started studying what is called eschatology or prophecy, biblical prophecy. I'm a student of that, and I love it. And when you look at Bible prophecy, but also what is going on in the world as a journalist, geopolitics is a huge interest of mine. Global headlines, all over the place. And three major things are happening in the world today. Of course, there's the war in the Middle East with Israel against the Iranian proxies, Hezbollah, Hamas, and Houthi, and also Iran's set up in Syria and Iraq and those places, but also the Ukraine-Russia war, and of course there's a coming war, I believe, which will expand to, the Russian thing is going to expand basically to NATO, most likely, and then we most likely would have an Asian war with China, possibly India and Taiwan and the US involved and all that. So that is a fact that is happening in the world today. Okay. That's number one. Number two, the thing that is going on today in terms of world news, world headline, is the devastation in the U.S. with the hurricane Helene, which caused enormous, disaster and crisis in several states, Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, and over 100 people so far have been declared deceased from that storm. So the natural disaster, the wars going on. And then the third big thing that happened last week was the United Nations met in New York, 193 countries, all the countries in the world. Basically all, I think a couple were excluded. And North Korea might be one. Anyway, all the countries in the world, they met there and they signed on to some significant new initiative for how the world order, the world system should be managed. Let's get quickly into these three things. One of it, and there are three books that informed, you see, I'm a futurist. And one of the things, and it's important that we know what is going on in the world. We don't want to live our life and just focus on our own little circle, because next thing you know, a huge hurricane comes or a war comes. Look at what is going on in Syria, Lebanon, Yemen, and even in Congo and Sudan and all those places. You could be living your life very peacefully, like a lot of people were living in Gaza, and suddenly, boom, it's all disrupted, right? And everything. So we want to be cognizant, we want to be aware, we want to be conscious of what is going on around us, not only in our neighborhood, our country, and our city, but also globally, right? It's important that we know what's going on so we can prepare for the future. There are three books that prepared me for the world that we live in today. And I'm going to mention them quickly. Clash of Civilizations by Samuel P. Huntington, which was published maybe 30 years ago or something like that. Clash of Civilizations. What we're seeing today is a clash of civilizations, the Chinese civilization against the Western Christian civilization, against the Orthodox Russian civilization. And we're going to see these clash of civilizations, the word civilization meaning worldviews. The clash of worldviews going on. Who will dominate and control the world as the technological age unfolds with such enormous power inherent in technology, right? Who's going to control the microchips and the data that will be ruling the world? That's the essence of it. It's complicated. It's a long story. We can't get into full details on this live. Sorry, this video, not a live, this video. So Clash of Civilizations is going on, and we see that in the wars that are unfolding. A lot of it proxy wars, but they could blow up into full-scale nation-to-nation wars. But most of it might be proxy wars and focusing more on technological, like robotic dogs that are happening in that are being deployed in Ukraine and even Russia, and of course drones, right? So we could see that kind of new warfare happening. But it's a clash of civilizations, as Samuel Huntington wrote about 30 years ago in his very famous book. The second thing is The Great Disruption. So The Great Disruption is a book by, I think, Francis Fukuyama, wrote about this 25 years ago. and he called his book The Great Disruption. There are other books called The Great Disruption, but his book is very groundbreaking, and it talks about basically, in a nutshell, the disruption of the industrial age, of human society, of the global order, as a new age, which is the technological age, which I've been mentioning here on and off in my videos, takes hold of human society. So that book, The Clash of Civilization, and also The Great Disruption by Francis Fukuyama. And there's another one that I'm reading now, actually, just came out maybe last year, it was published, called The Empathic Civilization by Jeremy Rifkin. Now, these three books foretell or foretold what would happen in the world today, which is the clash of civilization, which is the wars that are going on, the disruption of the industrial age, this society of sand and steel and stone being completely dismantled, and we're seeing a new technology age emerge, right? An age of data and artificial intelligence and virtual world, like the metaverse, cryptocurrencies coming in with CBDC. The UN just passed new, how should I say, treaties or something, whatever they call it, agreement on it. Excuse me. And then we have the empathetic civilization, which is there's a new movement in the world for more compassion from the leaders of the world, from the elites. There's a new move towards, taking care of the poor, equalizing wealth, taking care of the environment, more sympathetic, more empathic, more compassionate. And there is that movement happening in the world, which happened in the United Nations last week. They came up with this agreement called the Pact of the Future. That's the name of the agreement. It's astonishing. It's 66 pages in a PDF document. It's available online. Check it out. It's called the Pact of the Future. And in it, they talk about global governance, of course. They talk about the Global Digital Compact, which is the name of a document, talking about bringing the internet age, digital world, more into mainstream society and dominating everything. So we're going to see a de-escalation of the physical world and a massive increase, very rapid, of the virtual world. And of course, we saw this with Meta, Mark Zuckerberg of Meta, unveiling his smart glasses and the Ray-Ban glasses, which will eventually replace smartphones. And we would have all these glasses, the screen appears in front of us. That's coming out 2-3 years the most. It's going to be the norm. And we're going to see, just like land phones phased out suddenly, smartphones, that's going to happen too. We are not living with smartphones for the rest of our lives. We're going to have wearable technology. So we have the empathic civilization happening, where people are caring for the poor, the needy, the afflicted, and that kind of society is rolling out with this Pact of the Future that the United Nations, all the members, 193 countries, signed on to. The Global Digital Compact, of course, which is going to make the internet the main thing in the world, in everybody's life. Everything is going to be online. And then the third thing, of course, and these things are more complex than I'm saying in this video. I'm just brushing them at the top, at the surface. And the third thing, of course, that the UN passed a law on, not a law, treaties and agreement that every nation signed on to, is for clean climate. So, for example, they're going to boards of every company in the world, every major company, the boards of those companies, and asking the board members to channel all decisions towards clean climate and renewable energy and that kind of thing. So we're seeing, out of last week's meeting at the UN, a new world emerging out of the wars that are going on in the Middle East and in Europe, Asia, which is Ukraine, Russia, and coming China with Taiwan and stuff. And the reason all this is happening, the wars, is for the control of the microchip. Who's going to control the powerful microchip in the future? The neon chips out of the gas that is in Ukraine and out of Taiwan. So the world is changing. Geopolitics is so interesting. And we'll talk more about this as time goes on.